Hi, welcome to Inside the Story. This is a video production of Northwest Travel and Life magazine. My name is Alan Cox. I'm the Chief Content Officer for Northwest Travel and Life, and I'm excited to bring you this video series. Normally in the video series, we're going to feature some of the writers who have written stories in Northwest Travel and Life, and they will talk about the destinations they've written about, talk about the trips they've gone on, but especially important, they're going to talk about things that are behind the scenes, things that didn't make it into the story that you'll want to know when you travel to those destinations. So it should be fun, it should be educational, it should be informative, it should be inspiring for your next trip. So I hope you tune in to more Inside the Story videos. In this video, though, I'm going to talk about summer travel. As we all know, this has been an unprecedented spring. This has been an unprecedented year so far. Travel restrictions have been in place. We're certainly not used to that, but they're starting to open up. Destinations are starting to open up travel a little bit and welcoming visitors back into their communities. So, where do we go this summer? What's summer travel look like? How do we stay safe and healthy and keep those around us safe and healthy as well? The first thing I do when I'm considering summer travel is obviously try and figure out the destination I want to go to. So the destination, if I don't know already, uh, is pretty easy to find if you go to a state tourism website. And in the Northwest, we have Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and we also have Alaska, which might be more difficult to travel to right now, but those websites are the best source for you to narrow down where you'd like to go. So I suggest putting in the name of the state into your search engine and follow it with tourism and see what comes up. And what's going to come up probably is the state tourism website, which should lead then with COVID-19 restriction information. That will give you a clue as to what the state's doing about opening it up for tourists again, uh, what you need to do to be safe, whether you're welcome to travel or not to those destinations. And once you narrow down a destination you want to go to, uh, the important thing to do next is to look at that specific destination's website. So again, if I'm going, for example, to Olympic Peninsula, Washington, I would put in Olympic Peninsula tourism and search for that and see what comes up. And I'm probably going to get their website, which again will lead with COVID-19 restrictions, but it will also tell us what is open, what the protocols are, whether it's necessary to make reservations in advance, what there is to do in those destinations and communities, and that's all the information I want to know. So that's where I'm going to go. So once I narrow that down, one thing I'm going to consider for sure is exposing um, or minimizing exposure to others, and vice versa. I want to make sure that I'm not traveling to a big city, for example. I don't want to be around a lot of people. I'm probably going to want to do some rural travel, travel out in the countryside, maybe to a small town, maybe just to a scenic drive, like a scenic route that that might really satisfy that travel itch. And I'm also going to think about probably not going too far from home. I might travel within a 75-mile, 100-mile radius of home, just for the beginning of my summer trips to make sure that I feel safe, feel healthy, feel comfortable, and then I'm keeping those who are traveling with me safe. So once I narrow down the community I want to go to, uh, I will just get in the car with those I've been sheltering in place with. I won't broaden my circle beyond that, and travel to that destination. Personally, I like to hit small town main streets and see what's going on there. Maybe some of the retail shops are open again. Maybe some of the restaurants are serving customers again in with some new protocols. So I want to know that. I want to check that out. I also like to hike. So maybe I'll find an easy trail somewhere that's going to take me to some special scenic wonder. Or, I like to paddle too. Maybe I will get in a kayak and paddle. So those are just options for day travel. or for a weekend getaway. Uh, you might consider for a weekend getaway just staying in a B&B somewhere that is welcoming guests again, or a resort. And be sure to follow their protocols, like I said before. For example, if a resort is asking you to not hang out in the public space, don't. If they're only serving food to go, get it to go and go have a picnic somewhere. Just follow their protocols. Wear a mask if it's required, and I recommend doing that this summer anyway. Uh, just to be on the safe side, and remember social distancing. That's as much of a soapbox as I think I'm going to get on about protocols this summer, because you certainly know what they are just by experiencing this spring so far, and you'll know by reading what the restrictions are in place and what the protocols are in place that you're going to go to. Um, but when I think of travel this summer, obviously I think of rural travel, but I also think of small travel. And what I mean by small travel is really choosing things on my itinerary that's going to, again, minimize my exposure. I'm going to pick one thing that I really love to do and do that. Normally, when I travel, I pack as many things into an itinerary as I possibly can, because I want to experience so many things. But right now, that's not a good idea. Keep it small, keep it minimal, and you can still build great memories by doing that. Another thing you might think about is slow travel. What do I mean by slow travel? I don't mean like going 25 miles an hour on a, 60-mile-an-hour highway. I'm talking about really experiential travel, being mindful about the experiences that you are having or want to have. And it could be nature, it could be wildlife, it could be a cultural experience like visiting a Native American community, perhaps, which can be very enriching experiences. So, slow travel, when I think of it, it's really uh, about the destination, or about the journey rather than the destination. So you've heard that old cliche. Travel is really about the journey, not the destination. That's the epitome of slow travel. So think about that. Think about also local travel. What do I mean by that? Maybe you stay in your own hometown. Maybe you consider that travel. Well, if you're not comfortable going that far from home right now, and you want to keep it really local, that's a great idea. Stay in your own community, stay in a bed and breakfast in your own town. That can be a really fun experience. You would not normally do that. Eat at a restaurant if they're open that you don't normally patronize. That can be a really good experience too. So broaden your horizons in your own community as things open up, and that can be a really fun thing to do for the summer as well. Um, I don't know about you, but when I travel, sometimes I'm kind of a selfish person and I don't want to bring other people with me. I like to do solo travel. So that's another thing to think about, especially right now when you're trying to minimize exposure to others. There can't be really anything safer than just going by yourself and hanging out alone. If you're comfortable with your own thoughts, that can be a great way to travel. Uh, you don't have to compromise with anybody. You don't have to negotiate about where you're going to stay or where you're going to eat, what you're going to do. It's all up to you. And again, the important thing is really minimizing exposure and playing it safe this summer while you're traveling. So those are things I'm thinking about when I'm planning, summer getaway, whether it's a day trip or whether it's a weekend getaway. I I also think about the economies in the local communities that I'm traveling to and how they've suffered with travel restrictions in place. And now that they're opening up again, I think about really patronizing the local businesses, the independent merchants and restaurant owners and independently owned hotels and B&Bs that really need the support right now. So think about that too. That's one way that you can really help the local economies get back on track as a traveler. And I think about that when I'm traveling anyway, even under normal circumstances. So those are really the things that are floating around in my head when I think about travel this summer. I hope they help you kind of plan your travels as well, or think about travel this summer. But I also think about what's the future look like for travel. And while none of us have a crystal ball, there are a few indicators in place. For example, air travel right now. and I don't know how long this is going to happen, but air travel, they're open for passengers right now. They're asking that people wear a mask. They're asking that people social distance wherever possible, and that is all good. But I probably don't want to get on a plane right now unless I absolutely have to. So I would restrict that to essential travel. I would not hop on a plane and travel to a faraway destination right now. I'd keep it local. I'd keep it rural. Also, if you're a cruiser, cruise lines, are not operating right now and probably won't operate this summer. And so I think about those cruise lines and the communities they serve, the ports of call that depend on the income from those cruise ships. For example, communities in Southeast Alaska, they are really suffering this year. And one thing that I know is that cruise lines are opening up 2021 for reservations. So you might consider supporting those communities and just having a good time by booking a cruise in 2021 and maybe going to Southeast Alaska. That can be a very enriching experience. You'll experience new protocols on the ships, undoubtedly. You probably will not have a buffet available because I think those are going to be things of the past, but the dining is always spectacular on cruises. So consider that for a future trip. Uh, Other than that, what future looks like really depends on the health that is, the health complexions in our communities and how that plays out as summer goes on and as fall approaches and winter. So it remains to be seen. But I hope that you find some enriching experiences this summer outside of your house or apartment. Uh, I know that the road is beckoning to me, and rural travel and road trips is where it's at for me this summer, and I hope that's what you're considering too. You can find a lot of ideas also and inspiration in Northwest Travel and Life. And I'm not making this an infomercial, but our latest issue is The Great Outdoors. This is our May June issue that's on the newsstands right now. You might consider that. Pick up a copy if you haven't seen it already. It's a pretty timely issue in that there's no place safer than the outdoors right now. And it'll give you a lot of good ideas about maybe some travel inspiration, some summer travel that you haven't thought of before. So pick that up at the newsstand. Subscribe if you have such a notion, and we would love to have you as a subscriber. But please do tune in to Inside the Story as this series continues. We will post the upcoming series on Facebook. So if you follow us on Facebook, you will see it there. They'll also be posted on YouTube on Northwest Travel and Life's YouTube channel. And I want to invite you to get in touch with me if you have any questions about this discussion today, or if you have any comments, feedback, or just want to talk further about summer travel. I'm open to it. My email is editor@nwtravelmag.com. Again, editor@nwtravelmag.com. And I'd welcome your emails. So look for more inside the story. The next one will probably be featuring one of our great writers talking about a destination they've gone to and bringing you behind the scenes in that destination. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a great summer of travel, and please stay safe and healthy. Thank you.